I still remember the moment it all started. The instant that made my world tilt in a way I never could have imagined. My phone buzzed while I was washing dishes after a quiet Tuesday dinner. A single text appeared from a number I hadn't seen in years. "We need to talk. Tonight, your family dinner. Don't ignore this." My heart froze. My fingers trembled. It was him, Mark. The man I had spent one regrettable night with months ago. A night I had convinced myself I could bury and never let resurface. I deleted the message, hoping it was a mistake, a wrong number, but my stomach told me otherwise. I tried to brush it off. I told myself I was overthinking. I was married, happy, or at least I thought I was. My wife, Lena, had no reason to suspect anything, or so I hoped. But over the next week, little things started unraveling. Lena's phone buzzed constantly, but she would step out of the room, laughing off missed calls or claiming just spam. Her eyes sometimes darted away from mine in a way that left me hollow inside. I questioned myself. Was I imagining it? Maybe my mind was just turning small coincidences into a story that didn't exist. Then came the night. My parents' house smelled of roasted turkey and fresh bread, a warmth that usually brought comfort. Lena was radiant, smiling as she arranged the table. But I couldn't shake the unease gnawing at me. The tension felt like static in the air. The doorbell rang and I froze. I hadn't expected anyone else, especially not him. But as the door swung open, my blood ran cold. Mark stood there, tall, confident, a smug grin spreading across his face. "Evening," he said casually, as if walking into someone else's home was normal. The room fell silent. My parents blinked, caught off guard. Lena's hand flew to her mouth, and her eyes widened with horror. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Everything inside me screamed in panic and betrayal. How did you?" Lena stammered. Mark's gaze found me. "We need to talk. You know why I'm here." It was as if the walls themselves were closing in. The chatter, the smells, the laughter from the table, all became distant echoes. I could barely hear myself think, let alone speak. After what felt like hours, I finally managed to pull him aside, my voice tight and trembling. "Mark, what the hell are you doing here? This is a family dinner." "I told you," he said quietly, almost coldly. "We need to talk. You know I can't just forget." The confession came spilling out like a flood. The truth I had tried to bury, the lie I had built around my heart, was laid bare. Lena and I had shared years. Trust one had taken for granted. But one night, one mistake, had fractured it. And now, here he was, turning my carefully constructed world upside down. Lena's perspective was raw, trembling, almost pleading. She admitted the guilt, the shame, the fear of losing me. But she also spoke of her own confusion, her loneliness, and the vulnerability that had led to that single night of betrayal. She didn't make excuses, yet the weight of her remorse filled the room more heavily than any anger I could muster. I felt a storm of emotions, rage, heartbreak, disbelief, but also an undeniable tenderness. Part of me still loved her, even as the betrayal twisted inside me like a knife. Memories of laughter, of comfort, of the life we had built, now carried a sting I couldn't shake. Each smile she gave me now seemed layered with secrecy. For hours we sat in silence. Words felt insufficient. I realized that confronting her wasn't about punishment. It was about understanding, about seeing the truth, even when it hurt more than anything I had ever known. I listened as she cried, her tears soaking into her hands, and I felt a strange clarity form. The turning point came when she looked up, eyes red but steady, and said, "I want to fix this, if you'll let me. But I need you to decide, can we rebuild or is this the end?" I stared at her, at Mark, at the room that had been my safe space, and now felt alien. And I realized that the decision wasn't about anger or revenge or even forgiveness yet. It was about self-respect. I could stay and try to rebuild, or I could walk away, reclaiming my dignity from the wreckage. I chose the latter, not out of hatred, but out of necessity. My heart ached. My memories felt sharp like broken glass. But I knew that some mistakes, mine, hers, the consequences, couldn't be smoothed over with words alone. I left the house that night, carrying a suitcase of memories, guilt, and grief. The cold air outside felt raw against my skin, but it was also liberating. I realized that betrayal doesn't just break trust. It forces self-discovery, forces you to confront who you are when everything familiar crumbles. Months have passed since that Thanksgiving. Lena and I have kept distance, rebuilding our own lives separately. I still think of her, of what we had, but now there is clarity. I've learned that love, even deep and enduring, can't always survive a breach of trust, but respect for oneself can. I remember that night not with anger anymore, but with quiet awareness. The lesson wasn't just about betrayal. It was about the strength it takes to walk away, about the courage to face heartbreak honestly, and about understanding that some chapters, no matter how painful, are necessary to write the next one. Mark never called again. Lena and I didn't reconcile. But in the wreckage, I found something I had never expected: resilience. A painful, aching human resilience that reminded me I could endure heartbreak and still find my own path. And that, I realize, is a Thanksgiving gift no one else can take away.